Introducing the all-new 2024 Mercedes Benz E-Class.
Oh my God, they're going to be so jealous at the office. We can't afford this shit. We should take a selfie. I can't wait to stop driving so I can get on TikTok. I want to be an influencer. Hybrid. Oh my God, I love this car.
Is that what y'all be thinking? Welcome to the Breakdown, where we talk about everything cars, news, and reviews. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. Mercedes-Benz has unveiled their all-new 2024 Mercedes-Benz E-Class. And right idea, wrong market. Let's get into it. So stick around and stay tuned because you're now watching the Breakdown. What's up, guys? If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not, welcome back. So before we go any further, if you like this kind of content, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. It means a lot to me and the YouTube algorithm. So we're going to go ahead and talk about today's new adventure, which is the Mercedes-Benz E-Class. For any of you who have never seen an E-Class before, which I highly doubt, the Mercedes-Benz E-Class has been around for a very long time, hailing back as long as the 1980s before they changed the naming system to the E-Class in the 1994 model year. Now, the Mercedes-Benz slots between the C-Class and the S-Class. And the interesting thing about this is that while it seems as though Mercedes has given us yet another control paste copy of their design language, it is more resonant with the EQE line versus the actual traditional normal S-Class that they normally attach themselves to. And you know what I mean when I say that. So basically, they are attaching themselves more to their electric line than their gasoline powered line. This is still considered a hybrid. It has a small starter generator at normally about 23 horsepower with 180 pound-feet of torque in the engine, and this is for the base model engine, giving you 255 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. You can upgrade to the inline 6, which gives you a significant bump in horsepower, but most people are going to find the 255 horsepower hybrid powertrain adequate for day-to-day driving. So let's go ahead and get into the styling. So this car is basically the iteration of what we think about as normal bootstrapping Americans that have worked their way up to the corporate ladder and get the parking spot of employee in the month in the garage. And this is where you go to the corporate party, and everybody can see you in your nice E-Class. That's what I took away from it on the outside. The inside is a completely different departure. As far as exterior goes, there are a lot of EQE influences. So the EQ line for Mercedes-Benz has been a bit of a struggle, chokehold, and it has been very, very hard for Mercedes to kind of push this line, but they have tried to do some different things. And to be honest, E-Class people are never going to let it go. E-Classes in many cases are probably the most comparable to a 5 Series or an A6. So that would be more of the lines of what this competes against. I will say there are some pretty cool instances in where I really enjoy the car, but the biggest thing that I really don't know if I like is the taillights, and the stamp of the Mercedes-Benz 3-point stars, they call it, is basically embedded into the tail light, and I don't know if I like that. Fun fact, that actually represents the land, the air, and the sea in all sections of the logo. Otherwise, I do like the smoothness of the headlights. The headlights are rather homage to the older E-Classes and even some elements of the 2004 S-Class with a little modern touch on them. And the front swoopy hood gives more of the EQE. So I can't say that I don't like it, but I won't say that it's the best in terms of Mercedes what I've seen. I will say the C-Class did a better job of iterating this design language, and the EQE and the EQS all do a significantly better job of this. But overall, I do think it does meet what most people expect out of a Mercedes. But let's talk more so about the interior, because that's where the good gets. So in terms of interior, there is a huge fucking screen, which we all know that's where a lot of car companies are going. And honestly, with the diminishing and getting rid of buttons, there could be some compliance and regulation things we aren't privy to. And every time that the compliance standards and the regulation standards change, in terms of design, that usually changes things for the engineers and the designers, which is why we see the design languages in many cars look comparable, because the standards are so freaking rigid. But the overall expanding of the screen is very, very interesting. And it's almost like Mercedes Benz is trying to get ahead of the curve before more cars have to do this. And so the overarching screen is very, very wide, and it gives very much, my kid has tablets. That's what it gives. And I will say I do like the LED lines across the board. It does come with a very, 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 very comparable Burmester speaker system, which sounds great. BMW has not given a price on this, but I can already tell that based on the technology that's infused into this car, it's not gonna be cheap. In terms of technology, it does give you your standard adaptive driver's assistance programs and all of those nitty gritties. But what's really interesting is their integration of social media into driving. So one of the things that they're going to start including more and more of their lineup is the YouTubes, the TikToks, the Instagrams. You can take a selfie in the inside of this car, which I don't know why anybody would unless you're on some type of family road trip or something like that. That's the only thing that makes sense, because the normal executive that's probably going to be driving this car is not going to be focused on the selfie, which I found very, very interesting. And it will be cool for the kids, especially when it comes to the tablet style dashboard that is on the right. And you know, I like the steering wheel as well. The steering wheel is very, very racer inspired. I like the grip that it's giving in terms of design language. And I love the expanded horn and the bulge inside the middle. And it gives pronunciation to the Mercedes emblem, which I do like. And it's kind of old school when you really think about it, a little vintage.
Oh my God, I love your skirt. Where did you get it?
It was my mom's in the 80s.
Vintage. So adorable.
Thanks.
But I don't know what executive is going to be focused on any of these things. And maybe that's the point. The point is to get us away from thinking that you have to be a high-powered executive to enjoy this car. The problem is that high-powered executives can afford this fucking car. In many cases, the E-Class is usually around $55,000 to $70,000 before any type of add-ons and such. And with the hybrid powertrain and with the interior and what it gives, I can't say that I can see any type of millennial that these social media channels are normally geared to are going to enjoy this car. This is something I would have put on the CLA. This is something I would put on the A-Class. This is something I would have put on the C-Class. I would put it on any of the entry-level models. I would not have done this on the E-Class. In terms of the sustainability of the E-Class, while these features are nice, I don't know how long the E-Class is going to continue to run. Hear me out. So the E-Class, for all intents and purposes, is a mid-size sedan. And as we know, in many cases, the mid-size sedan has slowly done away. And when Toyota got rid of the Avalon while they replaced it with the Crown, that was kind of an indication that large sedans are not gonna continue on. Now, the cool thing is that they kind of got a lot of their customers in a trap. Bear with me here. So many Mercedes customers are loyalists and they do not deviate, but more importantly, many of them are in leases. So in terms of the overarching presence of this car, and you know, most of them are just gonna run through 3 years and get another E-Class, and that's fine. And it's gonna probably come with all-wheel drive or 4MATIC, and it's probably gonna also come standard with 2-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive. That's fine. But what millennial / Gen Zer is going to buy this with those things that are with the things such as TikTok, the Instagrams, the YouTube, all those cool things that normally the younger generation usually appeals to, or it usually appeals to the younger generation? We're not gonna be able to afford this shit. But I will say this much, on the used market, oh, this shit gonna slap, big purr.
You know what? It's giving very much of how you doing your honor, Miss Judge Lance Toller.
When these depreciate, because E-Classes tend to have a higher depreciation rate in comparison to the other brands that they compete with, but the E-Class, yeah, on the used market, it's gonna slap. And I also am very curious to know how they're gonna do this with subscription services, because everybody's moving away from the standard embedded, you know, once you pay for it, you're done. And again, most people lease these cars, so I'm also gonna wonder how that's gonna work too. But the E-Class is nice, and that's kind of the extent of it. I like the elements that it presents. I like the packaging that it presents, and it looks really good in its rear quarter panel look from the rear quarter angle. It looks really good. and it doesn't look too long, but I don't know the sustainability of this because the American market has truly chosen their warrior, and it is the SUV. So with that being said, I can almost guarantee you that in the next 5 to 10 years, if this does not sell well, if this does not perform, it might be on the chopping block, especially with the route of electrification. The EQE may be discontinued, and we just may have the EQS and SUVs, and that's pretty much the extent of that, because the EQ line has not been doing that great. But the adoption rate for electric vehicles also has not been that great either. But overall, the Mercedes Benz E-Class has made quite a bit of noise in terms of what it offers from the user experience, which Mercedes-Benz has really been focusing on the user experience for at least 10 years since the CLA. They've really been honing in on that. And so it's very evident that that's where their design and focus is. And it looks like the Jetsons got their taxes in all intents and purposes. And overall, I would say that the leasing market is going to continue this car, but overall, if many of the lessees do not take to this car and they either go to the S-Class or the C-Class or the CLA and kind of omit this, we may see a deletion of the E-Class and just purely the EQE, and then over time we may see the deletion of that too. But anyway, this is just a preliminary. Mercedes-Benz will let us know further details down the road. Leave a comment below, let me know what you think about the E-Class and whether or not it's something that impresses you. If you think it'll be a great hit, I'm pretty good about calling cars and knowing what they're gonna perform like and what the journalists are gonna say. I'm usually right, and I don't think this is gonna be too impressive as much as it's gonna be fine. With that being said, leave a comment below, and until the next video, I will see you guys later.